$77,509.46. Payroll and liabilities for June 2nd. June 2nd. I get mixed up because we're getting so much rain, I'm thinking it was April. June 2nd, in the amount of $215,498.10, for a total of $1,093,007.56.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any amendments or discussion on the claims?
I have none, Your Honor.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Is there anything additional that the committee needs to review or discuss?
No, Your Honor.
All right. In that case, there being no other business to come before the committee, I adjourn this meeting at 6:46.
Thank you.
Mia. Love
City Council meeting to order at 7 p.m. Would Councilmember Paranto lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And then Councilmember Larson, are you willing to give us an invocation?
But of course. Our eternal Heavenly Father, we are thankful for the opportunity to be here at the city of Riverton to represent our constituents. We're thankful for the moisture which Thou hast richly blessed us with. Thankful for the opportunity to serve. Thankful for our first responders. Please watch over and bless them. Bless those police officers that are keeping us safe. Watch over and protect those individuals that are in service to us, our mayor and our city manager. Watch over and bless them. Father, we would ask that Thou would bless us with clear minds that we might do the bidding of the citizens of Riverton to the best of our ability to help them. And we ask this in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Councilman Paranto and Councilman Larson. City Clerk, if you could please conduct the roll call.
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Lindsay Cox.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Dean Paranto.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilman Christy Salisbury.
Here.
Mayor Tim Hancock.
I am here, and I declare that we have a quorum. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as been presented here.
Second.
Councilman Paranto with the motion, Councilwoman Cox with the second. Any discussion or amendments to the agenda? Anything we need to add or change? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak to the council about an item that is scheduled for a public hearing will be given an opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Or even if it's not scheduled for a public hearing, let us know if you want to speak. If you would like to address the council on another item, you may speak now. I'd ask you come up to the podium, tell us your name and what organization you're associated with if you like. And I would ask you, if you're part of an organization and there's multiple people who want to speak, that you limit your comments to 10 minutes between all of you. And as an individual, if you could limit your comments to 5 minutes. So is there anyone who would like to speak?
Hello, my name is Joe Stong. I'm a resident of Lander, but I'm a senior member of the Wind River Composite Squadron of Civil Air Patrol. We've existed for about 5 years in the Riverton and Lander, and we're hoping to expand our membership here in Riverton. We're beginning to meet here regularly, so we're hoping to attract more families, more young cadets. I have handouts here of what the Civil Air Patrol is, but essentially it's a volunteer organization founded in 1941. And it's dedicated to helping young people learn leadership skills, aerospace education, including how to fly planes. So we're kind of a feeder pipeline for the Air Force, although a lot of our cadets are in other services, including one of our cadets who is one of the inaugural members of this squadron, who's now in the Marine Corps. So we're very blessed to have him as one of our representatives. We hope to have an open house on June 29th. Behind this building in the VFW pavilion, and that's open to the public for anyone who's interested. It's a volunteer organization for senior members, for adults. For youth, it's boys and girls beginning at the age of 12, and they can serve in the unit until they're 21. We are involved in search and rescue operations around the country. We have aircraft throughout the state of Wyoming. And we hope to eventually grow our unit large enough in this neck of the woods so that we can bring in our own aircraft, have our own search and rescue crew, and to that effect, we're hoping to grow. So thank you so much for your time. I have some handouts for the council members.
If you want to stick around there just in case anybody has any questions, and I'll add something.
Sure.
There's 3 Hancock cadets that are in Civil Air Patrol. They really enjoy it. It's a good opportunity. I guess it's as close as you get around here to ROTC if you don't have an ROTC unit. They really enjoy it. I guess I wanted to just make sure nobody got scared away from the word senior. That doesn't mean like, AARP member. That's just adult members. So you don't have to be in the AARP to be a senior member. And I just say that because there's a lot of adults who are interested in it as well, and there's pilots who should probably be more involved in Civil Air Patrol.
I used to be in Civil Air Patrol.
Yeah, see, it's not too late. You could go back.
Well,
But-
we'd love to have you.
Anyway, thank you very much, Joe. We'll collect these.
All right,
Oh,
quick
go ahead,
question.
Mr.
You
Pryor.
mentioned an open house on the 29th, but you neglected to mention the time.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes, it's from 6 to 8.
So June 29th, open house is from 6 PM to 8 PM at the VFW Pavilion, the,
Thank you.
oh, what's the word I'm thinking of that we usually?
VFW.
Yeah, but it's the park.
Yeah, the little park behind us. I'm not sure, I didn't realize it existed until I actually walked back there, so I was like, oh, wow, that's great. We have to honor our veterans.
Yep, great park. Thank you very much, Commander Stong. All right, anyone else?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'd like to try to set a Riverton Community Watch public meeting so that we can keep the ball rolling. That's been a year now, got a little bit of work in, but we're really hoping to get more of different parts of town involved and kind of try to educate the community on when to call RPD, when not to, but know our rights and how important it is to be communicating with each other. And really, that's the key right there, is communicating with our neighbors up and down the streets. And if we see something or, so that we're not caught by surprise. And yet, maybe, so we're not calling RPD every 22 minutes either. I mean, I think I call those guys like 1,000 times a week. I don't know. And they're great. They're there, they're doing everything they can, and they're responding quick, and I'm so grateful to God for that. But there's still so much work to be done that us, the public, can be doing too. We have a big part. We just can't push it on you guys. Oh, just 911, 911. We can do things. And so I really want to push to get the public into a public meeting. And then I also come begging. I'd like to get some more signs made and, getting them laminated. I had a bunch out here at RPD and at where we pay our water bill for the public, but just really want to get the public out here again. And then we got National Night Out coming up, and that's going to be super important that we get out there and have a good presence. And I thought I would talk to Sugar Beats, who's doing the concerts in the park, and see if we could do a little thing, a little promo at the upcoming concert for the public so that they could, just trying to get the information out there as much as possible. Downtown Association and business owners have took a different path, and that's okay, but because we're all trying to achieve the same thing in the end. And so I'll let them continue with what they're doing. And I'm kind of concentrating on those houses on both sides of Main Street right now, like 2 blocks out up Main, and then along with, covering up graffiti and stuff. But it's out meeting people. So, yeah, if the city can find a few extra bucks to make some signs this time around, that'd be cool. And
That before, are we able to do that again, Mr. Butterfield? Could we handle helping out with getting those signs printed out? And
Your Honor, I don't think that'd be a problem.
anybody on the council have a problem with that again? No. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, Mr. Talabas.
no, that's great. And I forgot now. Okay. Who would I leave a couple of copies to then for that? Okay, great. Oh, I remembered now.
Oh, good.
And so if we could set a date so that I could get, to get it advertised and out to the public, even maybe in our local newspaper too, down there in County 10, of course, so that we can get the public geared up for this. the best we can, like, come on, let's get busy, you know? Gonna try to get everybody, it's already in motion. There's different groups already throughout our whole city, maybe 5, but we'd like 5 more this year. And National Night Out's gonna be super important, and so, what would be a good date for you, Mayor, and you, Chief, and that way, because, you know, we'd like to hear from you guys on that night too, or day, whatever it is, and like to have some EMTs out there, because, you know, unfortunately, sometimes we find people just sprawled out somewhere. And it'd be helpful to know that you don't go pick them up, you don't try to move them. So maybe we could have some talk from the EMTs, you know, to come down to. And, of course, Chief, you have experience in Neighborhood Watch, right, previous? So, you know, your information would be so valuable for us, too. So if we could set a date that would be good for everybody, then we can get it advertised.
What's the day of the National Night Out again, Chief?
So the National Night Out is going to be on August 1st, on a Tuesday. But we do have penciled in a National Night Out planning meeting on July 10th at 5:30. So we can probably accommodate a meeting regarding Neighborhood Watch right after that.
That would be great, yeah.
It could be good. What do you think about that?
That would be good. July 10th?
I'm kind of looking at Max because I haven't told him about this date yet. So I'm if that chambers is open that night.
Yeah, you bet. Sure.
Let's talk between Max, see if we can find out about that, and I think that might not be a bad time to work at. That gives us enough time so that it can be advertised sufficiently.
Yeah, I agree.
I maybe have a jury trial that day, but we'll see. We'll find out how it goes. I'll do my best to be there, Greg.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks, Mayor. Okay, everybody, have a good night.
Thank you.
Here, Max. Make him psychedelic. I'm joking.
All right, anyone else who wanted to speak?
Mayor, City Council, thank you. I'm excited to be here. My name's Michelle Woodmere, and I'm the Director of Eagles Hope Transitions and Emergency Housing. And the reason why I'm here is we are planning on July 12th. It's a statewide day of giving. It's a donation day where nonprofits apply, and they have donors, and they reach out to their donors, and their donors pledge or donate during this 24-hour period. It's 24 hours from July 12th at midnight until July 13th at midnight. So during that time is the statewide day of giving. So in conjunction with that, I had the idea of doing a cornhole tournament. So we're going to do a cornhole tournament July 12th, which is on a Wednesday, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Holiday Inn. And I think it would be a lot of fun if the Riverton City Council, city employees of the city, the police department signed up, and then we'll get Lander to sign up, city council, PD, city employees. I also have different like insurance companies, Teton Therapy, Fremont Therapy, so different organizations, different businesses playing cornhole against each other. So the whole idea is, play cornhole for a charity. All the proceeds will benefit Eagles Hope to ensure that we will continue to serve the residents of Riverton and Fremont County.
I appreciate it, Michelle. If we were to have a team, could I have a champion? Because I'm really, really bad at cornhole. I need to have better representation than me.
Right. We'll find you a good player. Also, on your flyer, there's a scan me. It's a QR code. Took me, I'm not going to tell you how many weeks, but it took me a lot of weeks to figure this out. But you can register online. How cool is that?
I just tried it. It came up, and the name it wanted me to put in was Amber Franks. So I guess she's the last one. Goes with whatever the last name was that was put in there. So
We might need to fix that.
I just tried it out. I'm just telling you from a technical.
Have her pledge now.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Just money for Amber.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming here and appreciate all you do with Eagles Hope. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Your Honor, may I address you as a citizen tonight?
Sounds good.
And city administrator, does that work?
No matter what, you get both roles. So.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Kristen, can you come up with me, please? I've mentioned before that one of my privileges is the opportunity to embarrass our employees, but I hope it's done in a heartfelt way. And I'd like to have members of the senior staff team join me as well.
More the merrier.
Nothing more embarrassing than ballooning.
I have the unfortunate job tonight to inform you, as you already know, and members of the public watching and in the audience, that Ms. Watson is going to leave the city of Riverton and take on a new exciting opportunity with Converse County. We are incredibly depressed about this. Somehow we'll shoulder on. And I know our team has some parting words of advice and gifts for her, so I better turn the time over to them.
I'll start, and I'm going to make my speech a little bit longer than what Kyle has anticipated. I've had the pleasure of working with KRISTIN for the last 13 years here at the city. She and I started about 10 days apart from each other, and we've been wonderful coworkers. As I look at the wall, we've worked under 4 different mayors, many city councilmen, several city administrators, 3 public works directors, which we have the fortune of having 2 of them in here with us tonight, several city secretaries, UB clerks. We have shared having our children grow up together, and KRISTIN has always represented the city with nothing but professionalism and grace. And I'm happy for you in your move, but I will miss you, and she has definitely left, not speaking ill about the size of your shoes, but some big shoes to fill, and we're going to miss her. Now with that, if you get any spare time in Douglas, the first thing I said to her when she said she was moving to Converse County is, you do realize that the wind blows there, right? A lot. So when you get some spare time to stop and smell the flowers, I hope you enjoy your new wind toy to go along with that. Congratulations. Thank you.
Poor KRISTIN had to put up with me before I was a city employee. And after the fact now. The last 5 years, I owe KRISTIN a lot. She's taught me the new ways of human resource and personnel management. The old school ways just aren't effective anymore, so I left the bat at home. I do have a nightstick in the office, but I'm not allowed to take it down anymore to get anybody's attention. So with that in mind, I wanted you to be able to go to a new job with the ability of getting their attention right away. So we'd like to present you with this nice whistle. It's a dignity way of getting a person's attention.
So I think I've been here the least amount of time, but I want to say that from the start of the selection process, Kristen was fabulous. She had everything well organized. Everything was smooth. Everyone knew what to expect in the process. I've probably gone to her office at least once a day or every other day, and she's Johnny on the spot. She's well versed on her role as everyone has seen. So one of the first things that I had to do was fill out a bunch of forms, have them notarized, and she broke out her stamp to make sure that I notarized the proper place for become the next chief. And I know it's probably going to take a while for her to get her next stamp where she's going, so I brought Hello Kitty and some other stamps ready to go for her first day. So, and just in case that they have not been ordered yet, she's ready to go.
Really important gifts, you know. I have a few words that I want to share, but I also one of our dear friends has something to share as well.
Hey, Kristen. Congratulations. I hear it's your last council meeting and you'll be heading over to the Jackalope City. I wanted to say thank you for all that you've done for the Riverton community. I know you'll be missed. Thank you so much. Have a safe trip. And please make sure that somebody there knows how to speak clerk. For those of you who don't know what that is, ask Kristen. She'll tell you. Take care all. Kristen, have a great trip. Best to the family. Thank you so much again.
Kind of a nice blast from the past. Kristen has a reputation, and it's a strong one. I had opportunity to meet with several people around the state a couple weeks ago, and when people heard that Kristen was taking on a new opportunity, I did not hear one negative thing. In fact, I heard many people say, well, geez, I wish we were taking her. That ranged from the mayor for the city of Lander. It ranged from LGLP. It ranged from the city administrator in Casper to nearly everybody I spoke with. So she's got far reach from Tennessee to the state of Wyoming. A lot of people respect and acknowledge the work that Kristen's done. Ms. Bolander wishes she would be here tonight, but she had a conflict with some family stuff. And you can see, in addition to family, there are colleagues and friends that recognize how valuable Kristen has been. When I joined the city, I started my application process with a different human resource director. And then when I was hired, Kristen was our human resource director, and she's been my HR director ever since. And I just want to say that it's been a privilege working with Kristen. I have a lot of fond memories with her, one of which includes back when I was single and a lost boy. I was getting engaged and was really excited, had an engagement ring, and I'd leave it on my desk, and Kristen came in and teased me about it. She may not even remember this, but she's like, you should probably put that away. She's been there for, as Mia referenced, the birth of each of my children. She's been with me as I've evolved my life and my career. And Kristen's always been someone that provides sound advice. She protects the city. She protects the individuals that she serves. And I think if you asked any city employee, they would say that they're going to miss her. I also have the opportunity to review the time cards of our employees. And I can tell you that Kristen puts in the time. So when we talk about riding for the brand, Kristen does it. And especially as of late, as we've been short-staffed, Kristen has shouldered a lot of that burden, and I've been very appreciative of that. So now, as you take on a new adventure, we hope this appropriately reminds you of us as you redecorate a new office and all the joy and pain of putting on the rendezvous. And we'd also like to give you a key to the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
Mayor Hancock. I'm one of the mayors that survived, is still surviving. And KRISTIN was new when I took office in 2011. And I think that's about the time that you came on board with the city. I don't recall. And she was just an outstanding employee. And I hadn't planned on saying anything this evening. But I recall I was working on getting my business cards. And I had spent 28 years working with the blind, and one of my pet peeves was you would give a blind person your business card, and the print was so small you couldn't see it. So I said, KRISTIN, can you put my phone number on the back of it in a little larger print? And boy, did she ever. And I still have some of those cards, and I mean, the print is huge. But it worked. And she has just blossomed into such a professional person. Really proud of you. Good job.
At least, good evening. Eric Carr, former Community Development Director for the City of Riverton. KRISTIN, you helped make my time here extraordinary. As did you, Kyle, and Mia, and Brian, and Megan. Anybody else here? Who was on staff at the time? KRISTIN always amazed me with her pursuit of excellence. And as a recent graduate of Leadership Fremont County, that showed in your personal growth. And I am super proud of you and hope all the best for you. You are a consummate professional. Congratulations.
I wasn't planning on saying anything tonight other than thank you. Sorry. I've grown a lot in 13 years, both professionally. I had my daughter in this office, and she's grown up with me. Thank you. Sorry. I appreciate every opportunity that the city has given me, and I appreciate working with every single one of my colleagues and professionals, both in the building here and not in the building. I'm going to miss everybody. I'm going to miss everybody here, and you can see my daughter has a big heart like I do too. But I wish you all the best, and I look forward to a new adventure where I get to learn more this is all I know is the city of Riverton, and so I'm looking forward also to growing as a professional as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
No more late meetings, but we're going to miss you a lot.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
We could have gotten more of those. Fill the office with them. Thank you very much. Thank you guys so much for having a great daughter and just being the family.
It's my dad's birthday today, too.
Happy birthday. I'm glad you said that. We could have sung.
Yeah.
I don't know, we've heard a lot from staff, we've heard from people who had worked with Kristen before. I don't know, I just wanted to give room for anybody on the council that wanted to say anything. Kristen, you have been an incredible asset, and that sounds bad. It makes it sound like it's transactional, I guess. But you have really just made the city of Riverton better by being here. And I mean as an organization, I mean as a town, all of it. You have contributed in every way that you can. I have had the opportunity to sometimes be here after hours, and I have seen you either coming or going right when I've been here frequently, and I know that you've put in so much time and sacrificed for the city and for the citizens of our community, just making sure that everything runs well. And I think Eric said it exactly right. You've been a consummate professional, and you can't ask for a better person in your position. You can't ask for a better person in any position. I think you probably could have pulled off Public Works or any of the other positions too. I mean, you just have that much drive and that dedication to your position that no matter where you go, you're going to make it better. And we've been blessed to have you here, so I appreciate you.
Thank you.
If you choose to stay, I'll step down. You can.
Wasn't trying to single you out. She could probably pull off police chief too, Brian, but.
Yeah, but Brian, you'd have to switch roles, and then you'd be in charge of HR, so.
You don't want me.
I was just looking at you when I said it.
Your Honor,
Yes.
we have someone else that wants to.
Sure, come on up. Blast from the past.
Sorry, I just drove in from Sheridan, literally just pulled into the parking lot just to come and say goodbye. I'm not gonna cry. Kristen is and has been the best role model. In my position now, I manage a team across the state, and when I get into a pickle, I wonder, what would Kristen do? And how would she handle this? Because she had a way of making you feel like a person, not a transaction, and there was nothing you could do that couldn't be solved. So in every adventure you take, I hope you never lose that. No matter how big a thumb might feel, I hope you always stay true. Because that's an impact worth having on an entire city. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I would not mind if we just sat here and spent the rest of the meeting talking about Kristen. We could do it. I think Kristen would mind. So, thank you. And, all right. Moving on. Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, June 6, 2023, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, June 6, 2023, executive session. Approval of the minutes, June 13, 2023, special council meeting. Approval of the minutes, June 20, 2023, finance committee meeting. Approval of the finance committee recommendations for June 20, 2023. And an open container permit application for Central Wyoming softball for a softball tournament at the softball fields on Smith Road on June 24th and June 25th, 2023, from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. each day.
Thank you. Any items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening, and we agreed on consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $877,509.46. Payroll and liabilities for 6/2/23 in the amount of $215,498.10, for a total of $1,093,007.56.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson with the motion, second by Councilwoman Salisbury. Any discussion, amendments, or additions?
Your Honor, I'd like to abstain from any warrants paid to traveling computers in Wyoming.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I'll abstain from any items regarding Bailey Enterprises.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Citizen Board appointment, Edge Committees. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the meeting, we discussed the vacancy that was made on the Edge Committee after Marissa Selvig stepped down. That vacancy was filled, however, it left a vacancy on the alternate position for the committee. At the direction of the mayor, city staff advertised the vacancy and received one letter of interest. It was from Mr. Jack Schmidt. And at this time, the council has the opportunity to consider and appoint at the mayor's recommendation Mr. Schmidt as an alternate to the Edge Committee.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve the mayoral appointment of Jack Schmidt as an alternate member of the Evolve, Diversify, and Grow Our Economy, AKA Edge Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion, second by Councilman Bailey. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Citizen Board appointment, Wind River Visitors Council. This be my report, Mr. Butterfield, I guess? Or what do you have to report on it? We received 3 letters, correct? 4, yeah. Go ahead.
Whatever's your pleasure, Your Honor.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. We are participants in the Wind River Visitor Council and the Joint Powers Agreement that governs the council. As part of that, the city of Riverton has the opportunity to have 2 board members on the Wind River Visitor Council board. For those members, they have opportunity to serve for 3-year terms and are maxed out at 2 terms total. We have Mr. Hal Herron here in the audience, and he currently serves as one of your representatives on that board. However, his term expires at the end of this month. At the direction of the mayor, we did advertise the future vacancy and received 4 letters of interest. Those are included in your packet. Pursuant to the Joint Powers Agreement, the governing body has opportunity to appoint these representatives. And so at this time, you have the opportunity to consider letters of interest from Mr. Hal Herron, who has expressed interest in renewing his appointment and serving the 2nd term that's allowed to him. You have a letter of interest from Mr. Scott Cunningham. You have a letter of interest from Miss Kimberly Hummel. And I do apologize, the mayor received additional information from her yesterday, and I only just recently sent that to you, so you have that electronically in your inbox, but it was not included in the packet. And then the 4th letter of interest came from Miss Amanda Henry. Your Honor, at this time, the governing body has opportunity to appoint a person to fill that vacancy that could occur at the end of this month.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so usually when we have appointments, we will put those here, and we didn't do that this time, mainly because I wanted to consider this over the weekend. So I'm sorry that you didn't have who I was wanting to appoint to this. I didn't get a chance to know Hal until recently, actually. He came to our meeting where we approved the Wind River Visitors Council budget. I feel like he has tried to be very responsive to the city council. I feel like he brings some experience to the Wind River Visitors Council that you don't quite get from anyone else. And one of the things that I've learned the most about serving on a variety of boards and councils is it's beneficial to the boards and councils to have different perspectives, different kinds of people, different kinds of focuses. And I think Hal has served us well, and so my recommendation would be to appoint Hal Herron to serve as his 2nd and final term on the Wind River Visitors Council. So I would entertain a motion in that regard.
I would so move.
In second.
Councilmember Bailey with the motion, Councilmember Pronto with the second. Discussion.
I think that's a great choice, Mayor.
All right. These are, I'm going to tell you right now, and Kyle probably knows this, these are the hardest decisions because we have so many people in our community that are willing to serve, and they do great things. And I'm sure Mayor Warpness could attest to that. We've had times where we have just one opening and one letter, and it's a little bit easier then. But we have a lot of people that were willing to serve in this capacity, and I really appreciate Hal being willing to step up and keep serving. And I'll tell you, it really meant a lot to me that you were wanting to be having good communication with the city council, making sure we're kept up to date with everything, and just having that good communication. And it was good to have a talk with you on the phone while I was in Missouri on vacation. He calls me while I'm in Missouri, and we took a few minutes to talk, and I think he does well, and I appreciate him willing to continue. So, all right, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right, consideration. Yes, sir.
Can I interject this for 1 second?
You can certainly do that.
Well, first of all, thank you for the confidence on behalf of you.
Thank you for the reminder, Councilwoman Cox.
Ms. Cox. My name's Hal Herron. Thank you for the confidence, Mr. Mayor and council, for me continuing to serve in this role. It's been educational, and well, when I got on board, it was kind of, we were transitioning from consultancy to staff. So it's been educational, it's been challenging, it's been all the above. And it's taken more time than most people would understand, including me. But it's rewarding because it's doing great stuff for the county, and we really do have a great executive director and team. Yeah, it's two people, but it's a team. And when I walked in, Helen said, "Why do you think all the people are here?" And I said, "Well, I know. It's a visitors council budget approval thing. Everybody's got an opinion, and they want to voice it." KRISTIN, that I don't know you from Adam, but I do know you from reputation. And man, if I was the mayor, I'd say, "What do you think about a 25% raise? Can we keep you?" But it's like, I know you by reputation from around town, and you're a lovely lady and a professional. So I wish you the best of luck, too. I'm glad I was here this evening to see that. So you've got a good following. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Any questions from me or the Visitors Council? I don't have any prepared remarks, so.
You did good off the cuff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And Helen, I would note, we got your email, and it was good to have that report. Thank you for sending that to us.
Can I just add something about
Sure, go ahead.
Really, really quick. Helen Wilson, Wind River Visitors Council. And as Hal mentioned, him and I came in around the same time. I was just a couple of months before him. But he gets so involved, and I just love it because he calls me on the phone. We email back and forth. Him and I we have lots and lots of conversations. And I just want to say some of the things he's done. He works on our budget committee. He's our secretary. He's on the executive team. He's on the compensation committee. He's working on the art banner project in Riverton. He's working on the digital sign in Riverton. He's always happy to talk to me about anything, and his background is incredible. And we've had some great conversations. And I've just really enjoyed having him on the board, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 years and seeing what else we could do, taking up a little bit more of his time. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Helen. All right, on to the next. Consideration of ordinance number 23006, second reading, underage purchase, use, or possession of tobacco. City Administrator's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief in that this ordinance or proposed ordinance passed on first reading without issue. It was unanimous. As a reminder, this basically changes our ordinance to match state statute and also the intent of federal law with T21. So we do recommend that this pass on second reading as well.
All right, would the city clerk please read ordinance 23006 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 23-006 on second reading. An ordinance amending Title IX, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare to revise Chapter 9.16, Offenses by or against minors, Section 9.16.030, purchase, use, or possession of tobacco by minors prohibited of the Riverton Municipal Code and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 23006 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Borders, second by Councilman Bailey. Any discussion or amendments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing and consideration of ordinance number 23007, first reading. Clerk and Treasurer, City Administrators, report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a municipality with over 4,000 in population, the city of Riverton is considered a first-class city by state statute and is really governed by Chapter 3, Title 15. Specifically, Section 204 states that the city shall fill the positions of treasurer and clerk. And as Mr. Tolstead just said, it's important that we speak the clerk language. And I think maybe those that are watching online and those in the audience, it's valuable to even just talk about what the city clerk and city treasurer do. So in brief, I'd like to just explain that the clerk is the general record keeper and recorder for the city, and all major actions, records, transactions are typically completed or filed in the clerk's office. The clerk is responsible for seeing the actions of the governing body, the meetings, the public hearings, liquor license renewals, bids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and other items are properly advertised in the official newspaper, and that we follow the ordinances and statutes that we shall follow. So the clerk position is one that is important, and I hope you can see why state statute requires that the city has one. When it comes to treasurer, the treasurer is the custodian of all monies belonging to the city. The duties of such custodian is to receive all monies belonging to the municipality, keep accounts and books in the manner prescribed by law, keep the municipality's monies separate and distinct from personal and other funds, disperse the municipality's monies only upon proper authorization, and submit interim reports of the receipts and expenditures of those funds to the governing body. Clearly another critical role for the city and municipalities. References to the position of city clerk and treasurer have taken many forms through the years, going back as far as 20 years ago. In our municipal ordinance, the clerk and treasurer were combined in Riverton Municipal Code. That evolved through the years, and as far as about 10 years ago, 15 years ago maybe, the clerk position was changed and referenced as the Administrative Services Director position. In 2017, our code evolved even further, and the Administrative Services Director was changed in the city code back to city clerk. And then a new section of code was created for the Finance Director, which was to serve as the ex officio treasurer. What's proposed to you tonight is another revision to the references of city clerk and treasurer. And basically what it does is revises some language in the city clerk chapter, and then it changes the reference under the Finance Director chapter or section to city treasurer. I feel that this allows the code to comply more directly to the references in state statute and allows the city council to appoint city clerk and city treasurer as it deems necessary. The revisions to the ordinance are included in your packet, and I'm happy to stand for any recommendations. It is staff's any questions or comments, It is staff's recommendation that you adopt this on first reading.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please read ordinance 23007 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 23-007 on first reading. An ordinance amending Title II, Administration and Personnel, to revise Chapter 2.12, City Clerk, and Chapter 2.13, Finance Director of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Paranto with the motion, second with Councilwoman Borders. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing open. I'd ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak? I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion, second by Councilman Bailey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. Public hearing is now closed. I would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 23007 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Cox with the motion, Councilman Paranto with the second. Discussion.
Your Honor, there's just one sentence after the background, the second paragraph, that might need a little bit of grammatical, where it says municipal clerks and treasurers are perform all. You just need to, just a little bit of, that sentence needs fixed. Are to perform or are.
Your Honor, Councilman, thank you for that. And could you reference the chapter and section potentially?
It's just in the background recommendation on that, so maybe it's not on there, just, I don't know if it's further in there, so it might not be part of the thing, it's just your discussion, so it's fine.
Oh, I see. Second paragraph of
I don't know if it's
background
anywhere
in
else in there, but. So it doesn't matter if it's just your comments.
Your Honor, Councilman, thank you for catching that. It's a good catch. We'll update that for the second reading with the staff report. Fortunately, there's no typos, at least I hope not, in the proposed ordinance.
I haven't seen any yet.
Okay.
I didn't compare it all, I just saw what it.
Any other discussion on the ordinance? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right, resolution number 1474, Airport Master Plan. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief on this because I believe you've had enough background on this master plan project, especially as we've gone through the consultant selection process. Now that we have a consultant selected, we've gone into scope and fee negotiations. The fee and scope have been finalized, and it's appropriate to now submit a grant to the FAA to support this airport master plan study. As part of the AIP program, the FAA supports 93.75% of these costs. The state of Wyoming covers 3.75%, which requires the municipality to cover 2.5%. The fee and the scope have both been reviewed by the FAA and the state of Wyoming, and we're just seeking your support through resolution for the submittal of this grant. The resolution is included in your packet, and we do recommend that you adopt it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please read Resolution 1474 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed resolution number 1474, a resolution of the governing body of the City of Riverton supporting the application of Airport Improvement Program Grant number 3-56-0024-057-2023 from the Federal Aviation Administration and its corresponding grant from the Aeronautics Division of the Wyoming Department of Transportation.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1474.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Bailey with the motion, Councilman Paranto with the second. Discussion. Yes, Mr. Larson. Councilman Larson.
Let me address City Manager. What do we expect to be learned from a study? Will that include multiple flights out? Will it include greater passenger and quicker loading, or is it just a study of physical structures? Because all the studying will not or cannot improve pilot availability or equipment.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Councilman, to address the last statement, you're absolutely correct. Our master plan study probably won't have a large dent on the pilot shortage that's going on and has been going on for several years now. However, to answer your other question, yes, it will include aviation forecasts. but it's much more broad than just the commercial service side of our airport. It will include aviation forecasts for commercial and general aviation, but it goes much further than that as well. It will include a facility assessment. It will include recommendations for improvements. It will include an update to our airfield maps and a few of the other maps that are required, specifically the airport layout plan. Whenever we apply for one of these grants that we take to you, you cannot receive approval from the FAA unless you have an airport layout plan that's complete. And so we're projecting 10 years into the future all of the improvements required for Central Wyoming Regional Airport. It will involve stakeholder engagement and a number of other items. And I'd be happy to go through those more in detail if you'd like, but this is very comprehensive. It will take about 18 months to complete. The final document will probably be around 500 pages long, and it's a valuable resource. Shoot, we have Mr. Gores in the audience, and he's completed a master plan for the airport a number of years ago. And as the airport has evolved, as the industry has evolved, so has the needs of Central Wyoming Regional. And so these master plans are pretty important, first and foremost, to stay on the cusp of the needs and the emerging technologies that are out there. Maybe one last comment, Your Honor. One thing that we do know that we are deficient in is the size of our terminal and the secure room. When the terminal building was completed, it was prior to 9/11 and TSA. And so what we'd like to propose as one of the initial deliverables of this study is a recommendation for improvement to that airport terminal. Because as you remember, we've applied twice for a grant to expand our terminal. We haven't had the fortune of receiving that grant, but I believe when we have more shovel-ready information as we apply, we'll become more competitive. So that's one of the first deliverables we'll receive to immediately start making impacts at the airport.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commercial air service is going to be a part of that, not just the footprint. That's correct, right?
Yes, Your Honor. The analysis will include commercial air service and general aviation activities. It includes hangar layout. It includes opportunities for growth and development. We've even requested that there's an assessment on self-fueling and then other opportunities to grow FBO operations. So there's a business side for general aviation that we want to look at as well for that growth.
I guess one of the things that I think when we talk about the airport is making sure that we've got two different things going on here. We've got commercial air service, we've got the airport, and I mean, they meld together often, but just, I guess, making that note. Any other discussion?
Your Honor, I think it's important to note, too, that the longevity of the master plan, as indicated last time we did it was 2011. And that was a part of that process way back then. But pretty much everything surrounding the airport kind of goes back to that master plan. Everything from how the fuel operators will operate to how people have access to the airport. Pretty much everything surrounding the airport is a part of that master plan. So it's critically important.
Well, and we're going through the process right now with water and being able to look into the future. You know, you don't have a crystal ball, but being able to look into the future as to what we're going to want to change or do, it's helpful to have that updated on a regular basis. So.
Well, and Your Honor, it's important to know what that 10-year vision is, too, so that everything you do in terms of infrastructure in the short term kind of leads towards that vision for that long term.
Right. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right. Item 14, electric grant application. City Administrator's report, please.
Your Honor, can I take this one, please?
Oh, I suppose you can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eggleston.
Council, Mayor and the council members, last council meeting, we discussed a proposal from Pat Lawson requesting the city sponsor a grant for electric charging stations at Central Wyoming Regional Airport, in addition to City Hall parking lot. At that time, we really didn't have any figures on what this project would cost. We really didn't know a lot of the details about it. Since that time, the grant has been filled out. We've completed a letter of intent with Mr. Lawson to fund the 20% match for that grant. And timing was of an issue. We had to have, if we were going to submit the grant, we had to have it in by the 13th at midnight or 11:59 p.m. I'm sure many of you have been able to read the staff report, but the federal government allocated $700 million for electric vehicle charging. A portion of that was for alternative fuel corridors, which are along identified routes in the state of Wyoming, which are the interstate routes. And then a community corridor program, which focuses more generally on rural areas, off the beaten path, Highway 26 type, en route to Yellowstone type areas. We filled out the application and had it submitted. Now we have accurate numbers based on current pricing as of the date the project was submitted. Current pricing for the total project would be $869,353.54. Of that, Wild West EV or Patrick Lawson would fund $173,870.71. We also, in that letter of intent, wanted to address some, we wanted a commitment from Mr. Lawson upfront that he would fund that matching component of that grant application if we were to submit it. Additionally, we wanted some assurances that if we are successful in getting the grant, that we have a bond or other guarantee for the entire amount of that project, so the city isn't left holding the bag. This project, if we're fortunate and it is moved forward, it has to remain operational for 5 years from the date it goes into service. If for whatever reason the project just doesn't pan out, the city would be responsible for the federal share and potentially a portion of the matching funds. And we wanted to protect the city in that event. At this point, as the grant's already been submitted, we're seeking concurrence from the city council if you agree with our submission, or we'll follow your direction.
Thank you, Mr. Eggleston. At this point, I am going to step down and let Mr. Bailey take over. I would feel more comfortable with you doing it.
Thank you.
Sorry to spring that on you. I was going to tell you before the meeting.
Okay. I guess, does anybody have any input on this project?
Your Honor, I have some questions. When we look at an overall cost of about $1 million to put this infrastructure in, both at the city and at City Hall and the airport, what is the reimbursement of this? And can somebody actually make enough off the charging of electric vehicles to pay off the initial cost of putting this infrastructure in? You know, you talk about the city potentially being on the hook if it's not in service for 5 years. What is the reimbursement component? And, you know, I don't know if that's something shareable, but if we're going to be on the hook for doing that, then we need to make sure that at least that $173,000 is actually expensed throughout that 5 years. How does that look?
That would come through a lease agreement. Before we'd let them establish facilities on either one of the properties, we'd enter into a lease agreement where they have to pay up front for the square footage they're utilizing. And also a part, just as a background, part of this funding in this grant supports the operation of this facility for up to 5 years. That's part of the grant request that's built right into the program. Obviously, the feds want it to be successful, so they want to support them the best they can. But those are really the only guarantees.
In full disclosure, I have a Tesla, and I charge it. And if I charge it at home, it costs me 12 cents a kilowatt hour. If I charge it at a supercharger, like in Casper, I pay 37 cents a kilowatt hour. That means that basically HAT 6 is collecting a third or 2/3 of that cost. 2/3, I mean, on average, if I charge, my average charge is at a supercharger is about $12, maybe $13. It doesn't sound like much, and it's really not. A third of that goes to the cost to the power company, at least a third of that.
Right.
So that's not really a lot of money. You have to charge a lot of vehicles to make that pay itself off. How is that possible? I understand that Patrick is going to lease the space, but what assurances do we have that he can continue to make that payment for the course of the 5 years?
I don't know that there is a guarantee, and just as reference, the state of Wyoming was initially provided grant monies or monies through the federal government for the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Act, which funds a lot of these locations along the interstate highways.
Mm-hmm.
And the state of Wyoming, WYDOT, has backed away from that because they're concerned about being stuck with infrastructure on private property. Now, this is a totally separate grant program, but one of their concerns as well was, is it viable and can it make money? I can't answer that question.
Councilman Larson?
Am I reading this right, where has estimated a commitment of $173,870.71, and that's got to be operated for 5 years? That's going to make a profit supposedly of $35,000 a year. If we divide Mr. Dean Perano's car into that, it'll never be driving. We have to have an infinite number of charges just to, not to break even, just to make the money. I don't see it's plausible. I don't think we've got that many electric cars in the state of Wyoming, let alone Fremont County.
Well, it would be mostly people passing through, not necessarily those living here, because we like to charge in our own garages. I'm not going to drive down to City Hall to plug in.
Well, it's just, it's a great idea for, but that's a lot of money that I'm betting on electric cars on, and I'm not a bettor of electric cars. So, I'm sorry.
I am, and it's still tough.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Your Honor, I think, as Mr. Eggleston has mentioned, when it comes to the City of Riverton sponsoring this grant, it's important that we consider any potential liabilities associated with the program. And I believe Mr. Eggleston's work with Mr. Lawson to ensure that there is a guarantee prior to the execution of the grant to cover that 5-year match protects the liability of the city.
Okay.
And I also believe that the additional provision of requiring a bond to be in place further protects the city. I think what we're concerned about as city staff and as you have expressed as the council is as we sponsor this grant and there's a 5-year requirement that it remains operational, what happens in year 3? And since we're the sponsor, we don't want to be answering that question without any financial guarantee from Mr. Lawson. He is willing to provide that. And it's not, I would say it is the intention of the City of Riverton Riverton to wait to execute the grant if awarded until we have in hand the guarantees that are referenced in the commitment letter. After the 5-year period, the way that this would be managed is similar to some of our other lease agreements where we utilize public property, lease it to a private entity as they believe they have a business model that could be successful. If it turns out after that 5-year period that it's not successful, we would not have the liability to the federal government based on the upfront cost of the grant. That would then just be a liability on whoever's operating the asset and holds the lease at that time. And I hope that provides just a little bit of clarification.
So what you're really saying is we're safe. Based on if there are instruments in place that warranties that we're not going to be liable for year 4 or year 3 or year 4.5.
Your Honor.
I have no problem with that.
That's correct. That's the intention of the escrow account and the bond, to ensure that we have no financial exposure prior to entering into a grant agreement.
Did you have something else?
I do. One other quick question. Are there any other liability exposures that we need to be aware of?
None that I'm aware of right now. You know, obviously, this is all very new technology that I knew very little about.
Crash course.
3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Well, thank you for your work on that, Brian. I'm supportive of the idea. I just wanted to make sure that the city's liability was covered and that we weren't putting ourselves out there, because in a lot of ways, it's not practical as a money-making venture without some other support or some other government input. Now, I think it's important that we have the infrastructure, and bringing people to Riverton is an important, providing electric power to those people who like to travel by electric vehicle, and I think we're going to see more of them. I think it's important to have the facilities to enable them to come to our communities, but not at a liability of $1 million over 5 years. So if we can have those assurances, then I think that makes it a lot more tenable.
Yeah, that was our feeling all throughout this process is we don't want the city to be exposed to any potential liability in the future because of this. That's the way the letter of intent was written and the reason it was written that way.
Perfect. Thank you for your work on this, sir.
Anybody else? Okay. I guess my concerns mainly are that I don't think we as the city want to set ourselves up to, for one, competing with private industry. And there are other charging stations in Riverton, as I understand, right? Hampton Inn has one.
They do, and they reserve that typically for their guests.
Right, and so to me, you get into a funky area where, you know, somebody's made an investment to put a charger in somewhere else, or a coffee shop in somewhere else, or whatever business you want to pick. If we're going to lease a piece of City Hall parking lot for somebody to have a coffee shop, well, if we give them a lease that's far below market value compared to what the other coffee shops in town have to pay, we're giving them an unfair advantage. And so I think we got to be very careful there in setting a precedent where we're subsidizing, you know, and by approving a grant that, you know, if the city would give me 80% of the money it takes to build a gas station, I'd build a gas station on City Hall property, right? I mean, that'd be a pretty good deal. And now everybody thinks I'm against it because it's taking away, but you know, the electric car guys are the electric car guys, and they're going to charge.
I still buy diesel from
Right, and he still buys diesel because he can't pull a trailer with his Tesla, right? And
I can, just not very far.
He's, you know, and again, the local folks are all going to charge in their garage because it's a third of the cost of charging on the road. And so again, I think it's one of these, and if the other thing I guess is that if YDOT, who, for lack of a better term, has more money than God in this state, if they don't want to get into it, I don't know that us as the city of Riverton want to go there. Because, I mean, that's the challenge, I think. And so I'm all for entrepreneurship and people figuring out things that are new and different and are needed in the market, but, I mean, that's my personal opinion. And I think I just don't want to put the city in a position where 5 years from now, it all gets shut down, it goes away, and we've got a facility that we have to, at minimum, remove from our property. You know, and we can financially protect ourselves against some of that. But again, it just doesn't look bad.
Your Honor, I have a thought. You know, part of the intent of this is to use federal funding and funneling that, if you will, through a government municipality in order to ensure that those funds are utilized for the purpose that they're being allocated. I think that part of it makes sense. And where this is a private entity in Wild West EV, utilizing the city to obtain those government funds so that there's the oversight and management. Does the city provide any management of those funds, or are we just the co-signer to saying, yes, it's being utilized in this manner?
We're the custodians of the funding.
Okay.
We basically pay the bills.
So the bills that would be paid with this particular funding, we would have oversight of to say that this went to this project.
Correct.
So in that scenario, I feel a little bit better because it's Wild West EV that's kind of putting their finances. The city's providing location, which I think is great, a good use of city property to the businesses here in town. I think that's going to potentially give them some business. I don't know how much charging, what is the facility going to look like? Do we know? How many charging stations or?
There'd be two rapid charging stations. Obviously, there's two charging apparatuses on each station. So they'd have the potential of charging 4 vehicles. There's a potential for some signage, just directing the people to the electric
Your Honor.
charging stations. Yes.
So does the city receive any indirect funds from this grant, or I don't know that it's fair to ask.
Like a flowage fee?
So for our staff that has to manage the funds, and if we're short-staffed right now. Are we concerned at all? I guess we could hear from Mia, maybe. I mean, if it's not bringing any funds into the city to provide the services that we're already over, like, our staff's already overworked with some of that, is any of that been considered in this grant application?
Your Honor, to answer that question, no, there was not an inclusion of administrative fees or the opportunity to recoup those as part of the grant application. And to clarify, we are the sponsor for the grant, and so the grant management, any type of grant reporting would be the responsibility of the city of Riverton. And I appreciate you bringing that up, Councilwoman, because that is something that Mia is very good at. But it would be an additional grant that she and her team are managing. Financially, we would, I think it's reported in the staff report, we would need to cash flow the operations related to this grant until the federal reimbursement comes in. And then we would have the escrow or the security or the guarantee of Mr. Lawson's funds up front. So technically speaking, no city funds are being used on this project because any funds that we would help cash flow would be completely reimbursed by the federal government and Mr. Lawson.
But in that means that for this $800,000, so it would get built, they would send us a bill, we would pay the bill, then turn it in to get reimbursed? Is that, the basic? So whatever time it takes for the bill to be, between the bill being paid and the reimbursement received is the city of Riverton's money that we're tying up.
Your Honor, that's correct, or the funds up front that Mr. Lawson is securing with those.
Other than, his funds that he's gonna give us to escrow, but, and then you talked about a lease or rent, so it would be on a square foot. For example, at the airport, it'd be the same square foot lease cost that we would charge for a hangar or anything else that's up there, correct?
Or rental cars or?
Rental cars or concession or whatever. Do we know what that amount would come to? So I mean, that's really the only income the city's gonna get off of the project, would be just rent or lease fee.
Your Honor, we haven't determined the rates or the terms of that potential lease. As Mr. Eggleston indicated, a lot of efforts just going into learning about this grant opportunity, ensuring that it was appropriate for the city to first even sponsor it and then take it to the city council for consideration. As you are aware, and maybe some of the council members are aware, Mr. Lawson has approached the airport board on at least 2 occasions over the last year and a half about the prospect of leasing ground at the airport. He was in those discussions when he learned about this grant opportunity, and then the scope of his desire kind of changed because of that opportunity to access federal funds. We still need to establish the terms of the lease, but we would use some of the lease agreements and terms that we currently have as a baseline for that.
Okay. And I understand you guys sort of, this was a rapid fire deal with not a whole lot of time to fully investigate every possible scenario, so, yes, Mr. Larson.
Do we have the electricity available up there for that charging stations? So we won't have to put in an extra transformer, rig down some poles, or it's just a plug and play?
Well, that's part of the cost of putting it in.
Yeah, that's part of the cost of us getting the system set up, and part of the, what took so long to get cost figures was Mr. Lawson had to work with the power company and ensure that there was adequate power to support this operation at both sites.
And as I understand it, it's a totally separate power system from the city of Riverton. We're not using the city's power at all, correct?
Probably shut down California charging.
So I just have one more question, maybe
Yes.
Mia, you can answer it. Do we do this often, where we manage grants for private entities? Like, is there a precedent, or what kind of workload will it change with your office? Like, what's your thoughts on this?
We have managed other grants, particularly typically we handle those that are issued through the Wyoming Business Council, because often they have to have municipal participation in order for our private entities to get the funding. As far as the additional time, we manage many, many grants all throughout the years for very large dollar amounts. So I would be safe in saying, yes, we can manage the grant.
Okay.
I guess I had one other question. So I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I don't remember what I was thinking of.
So I guess, do we just see what happens, to see if it gets it or not, and then clean up things?
So
I mean,
do
it's
we-
already been
Do we need a
submitted, so-
motion tonight?
Tonight, we're just seeking concurrence, or basically your blessing on the grant that's already been submitted. If you don't concur with us, then we'll withdraw the application.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, yes, a motion would be,
Your Honor, I'll move that we move forward with the concurrency of the submittal of the grant.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a motion by Councilman Pronto, a second by Councilman Larson. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay. Nay.
Okay, come on, Mike.
And I would oppose, so we're at a dead heat.
Your Honor, could
See
we?
what you did, Tim?
Your Honor, could we get confirmation of the yeas and the nays, please?
I'm yay.
Okay, ayes, raise their hand. Okay, 3 nays. So what does that mean? Okay, so then the motion fails. Okay.
Oh, now, that was convenient.
Well, then my last motion will be no.
That's what happens when you leave Mike in charge.
That's right.
All right, moving on. Thank you, everybody. I apologize for that.
Sorry you did all that work, but.
It's all right, it's quicker to withdraw it than it is to submit it.
Well, and I appreciate that, Mike, and I was going to visit with you before the council meeting that I was going to do that, and I got a lot of other people I was visiting with, and I neglected to do that. So we're good. I appreciate you guys doing that discussion. All right, well, that was our last item. We do have an executive session, but let's go with council committee reports and council members roundtable. Can we start with you, Councilwoman Salisbury?
I was out of town, so I was unable to attend any meetings except the finance meeting tonight. So.
All right, thank you. Councilman Larson?
Only attended one, that was for 4 hours yesterday, solid waste. And if there were any doubts or second thoughts about what was going to happen in Lander in 2026, 2027, 2028, Lander will cease to take garbage from Riverton. That means that City of Riverton should start planning to haul garbage directly to Sandral. That means I would suggest we determine haul rates sufficient for sufficient haulage, meaning equipment numbers, and et cetera, because Lander is no longer going to be taking any of the waste from Riverton. Secondly, I was always under the illusion that Lander had a private corporation that was handling a majority of its solid waste. It isn't. That's why they're building a $6 million facility there to receive the waste which is being held or hauled by its citizens. Because Lander does not have any solid waste pickup as Riverton does.
Don't they have a private firm that does pick up, though?
Yeah, but it's only about 20%.
Okay.
It's all private. They're all hauling it by themselves. Yeah, good for them. Good for the gasoline business. And so there might have been some doubt in some people's minds that we would have a station here in Riverton. We will, but it will not be for solid waste. It will be for green matter, recyclables, oils, batteries, plastic bottles, but no solid waste will be taken here on when Lander closes down. So City of Riverton needs to, and that's what the board is voting on and looking at. July 17th, they will finalize their budget for 2023, 2024. And, but that was the last word that I had received, that I listened to. They were going to spend $4,200,000 on our facility at Riverton, and that was just a mistake by the Burns and McDonald's. There's no money going to be spent in this facility. So that's all I have, Your Honor.
So do we have to pay anything to the solid waste district? If we're
Well,
not-
well, you're going to pay $80 a ton. You take it out yourself, you'll pay a tipping fee of $80. And the deal is, there are no deals. Everybody's going to pay the same. And so we need to either negotiate, because we are hauling it ourselves and utilizing our equipment. So our tipping fee should
Be reduced.
be less because our equipment is being utilized versus their equipment, and so the cost proportionately is less on them. But until we start making some noises and going over there, that's the way it is.
So you guys all decided to give them 6 million and us nothing, and everybody agreed to that?
What do you mean?
For their facilities getting $6 million?
They don't have a facility like we have.
Oh, okay. We're gonna have a lot of garbage problems if we're not taking any solid waste.
Well, we're not, we're gonna be taking our own solid waste and delivering out to Sandro from the trucks that we haul. Instead of our truck going down to, the solid waste and dumping it, and then them picking it up, and then them hauling it back to Lander, and them disposing of it, we are gonna haul it out to Sandro, go over a scale, and, there'll be a station there that we will dump, and they will put it in the grave.
And we've got a couple of alternatives, too. We could choose, if the city wanted, to take on the transfer station, rather than having it be something where we're hauling it like a truckload at a time, so to speak. This has been a long discussion that has always been maybe, and we'll see, and of course, it always kind of sneaks into, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. But I agree, it's something that we're going to have to plan on.
Everybody's been winking at it, and I don't like to wink. I like to know early as possible. And yes, we could buy our own 15, 20, whatever it is, size truck, and haul it out there in a big truck and load it with our own equipment, et cetera, and do that. And we could petition them and get a separate contract, et cetera. I mean, we're no different than anybody else, but we do pay the lion's share of the, well, Riverton is the source of the waste going to Lander.
Right. And I guess I will say, right now, in terms of what we're paying for a tipping fee, at least the discussion right now has been a sharp reduction in that, because we would be taking it out there ourselves and there wouldn't be any overhead, so to speak.
Double handling, triple handling.
Correct. So that's been the discussion right now so far, that that's a way that they would do that. One of the things that we have discussed is the possibility of taking garbage on more days because of the going back and forth that it creates for our trucks if we were to take each truckload out there and dump it. And that's been some of the discussion that I think is still early.
Adds 45 minutes or an hour to every one of those loads, yeah.
Right. And so that's been some of what we've been talking about too, but you're right, it's going to sneak up on us if we aren't aware of it. But I think we've got good people that are keeping an eye on it and making sure we're keeping abreast of it. Anything else?
No.
Thank you, Councilman Larson. Councilman Peranto?
Your Honor, we had the airport board meeting scheduled for last Friday, but it was postponed until the 21st of July, which is Friday the 21st. Other than that, I have no other meetings.
Thank you. Councilman Bailey?
Okay, thank you. I also showed up for the meeting that got canceled for the airport board, and
you didn't get the memo.
But it was quick, and and other than that, I apologize for being gone last week. I was visiting my brand-new grandchild in Alaska, and that was a very fun week, so.
Surprisingly, Alaska's not a bad place to be in the spring.
Yeah, it is light there 24 hours a day this time of year, which is interesting to get used to. But I was there on the shortest day of the year over Christmas, delivering my grandchild up there to visit her dad. And I much prefer the light all the time to the dark all the time, because when I was up there I was there for the shortest day of the year, which the sun rose at, I think, 10-something a.m. and went down at 3:30 p.m. And I thought I'd handle it fine, but boy, by the time 4 or 5 days went by, I was like, couldn't get yourself out of bed to do anything, so. But it's the same way. It gets dusky a little bit between midnight and 2 or 3 a.m., and other than that, it's light out, so. They're busybodies up there for this
A
time
lot
of year.
done this time of year.
Yeah. Got to get it in while it's there, you know.
Councilwoman Cox.
I haven't attended any meetings since our last meeting. Everything seems to be scheduled for July. I did want to mention that EDGE has opened a new round for applications, June 1st through the 30th, and the meeting for that will be July 13th for the review. So, other than that, I don't have anything else.
Do we have any, have we had any applications thus far?
I haven't seen any emails come in with them.
Your Honor, we have not received any thus far. I've had several inquiries and phone calls, but we have not had any applications come in yet.
Past behavior has been, however, to wait until last day or close to it, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Cox. Anything else?
Nope.
Councilwoman Borders?
Your Honor, PAWS met tonight at 5:30. We always meet at Domino's, and it's a open meeting. I guess the main takeaway is that PAWS needs help. They need people to come down in the mornings especially, so they can help get the dogs outside, so they can clean the kennels and things like that. They need other things. If anyone's interested, if there's a youth group or something like that that would want to help, all they need to do is call down there and talk to Brittany. And then, of course, we had our finance meeting tonight. We discussed that earlier. Other than that, that's all I've had.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Butterfield.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to first start and say a few words in honor of Jim Davis, who passed away on a week ago Sunday. Jim Davis was a strong community member. He served on the Riverton City Council, was the president of the chamber, active in a lot of the social clubs around town, and quite frankly, just a genuinely good guy. So I think it's appropriate to recognize him at this time, especially as he was tied to the city of Riverton, and thank him and Georgia for what they've done and offer her our condolences. The only other thing that I want to report on is the mayor is coordinating a business owner and community open house on June 27th from 6 to 8 o'clock here in the council chambers. Our new chief of police, Mr. Hurtado, will be there as well, and it's an opportunity for staff and the mayor and the community to talk about things that are going well, things that we can improve upon, and then also to talk about the things that the city would like to engage with them on. Oh, and just a reminder that we will not have our planned meeting for the budget amendment on Tuesday, the 27th. It will be Friday at noon, next Friday at noon. That's the 30th, I believe.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure, Kyle, that you know to call me for that meeting. Okay, thank you.
And Kyle, me too. I'll be out of town.
And I won't be available at all. Sorry.
And I will be gone that day too.
We talked about this. I think we covered
then
and
call-
knew that we were going to still have a quorum, though, correct?
Well,
I'm-
Mike was out of town, and I think Christie was out of town, so we weren't really sure about you guys. But I think we still had a
1,
quorum.
2, 3. We got a quorum. You're going to be there by phone. You're available. I'm available. You're available.
I think I'm available,
We're good.
if it's short.
Well, it depends on if there's a white spot on the side of the road or not. We'll try to.
Friday at noon here.
Um,
I should be here. Is that true?
I'm traveling.
Okay. We'll get it figured out. All right. I think we're good there, Mr. Butterfield.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Couple of things. People may be aware, but our Riverton Volunteer Fire Department behaved itself admirably this last week, I don't know, comported themselves admirably. I don't know how we would say it. But they did very well with their competition that they had just this last weekend. Won first. I had the great pleasure of watching some of the events, and I have never been there. It was a lot of fun. It is something that I will definitely do my best to go back to. There's nothing like watching a group of about 5 or 6 guys zooming by in a fire truck, stopping, lurching to a stop, hooking up a fire hose quickly, hitting a target, and then switching out the hoses because it has to be, they're basically acting, okay, if a hose were to spring a leak and we have to be able to replace it, how fast we can do that. It was a lot of fun, and I will say we have very good people that volunteer for the city every day. I mean, they're on duty, they're ready to go, and they do very well at their jobs. So I was very impressed with that, and I just would say kudos to our fire department and for all the work that they do. I appreciate them. That was a fun thing I was able to do. The other thing is as a part of that, I visited a little bit with Terry Hayes. You may be familiar with her program. It's the Circles program that's been through Fremont County School District 25. One of the things that we discussed a little bit at that meeting was the need for volunteers. They have a couple of families that they're serving in Fremont County and a lot of different ways that they can serve them. They have a Facebook page that I would encourage you to check out. And any age, any skill level, anything that anybody can do would be very appreciated, and I would recommend to reach out to her. Let me make sure I have the right name for it. Circles Fremont County. What they are all about is trying to, when we have folks that are struggling with poverty, struggling with different things that are barriers to them being able to be successful in a lot of different ways, they're trying to find ways through education really is their biggest focus, to help people rise out of situations that they can rise out of through education and assistance from the community. And so I would recommend, if you're interested in that program, if you're interested in ways that you can serve your community, that you would volunteer with Circles and reach out to her. Another thing I was able to attend, we had business after hours at the Farm Bureau, which was a lot of fun. We had Bunk's Barbecue, which was good. Had a pretty good attendance there. Enjoyed that. Other than that, though, we had a meeting a little bit about, we've been having our kind of ad hoc homeless, unhoused task force and had some discussions there. One of the things that we've been discussing really is Wind River Cares has been using the COVID camp for folks who need to have housing, and they've opened their doors. Generally speaking, it's something that their doors are open by way of their grants or the way that they get their money. That's generally been speaking has been open to tribal members. But we've been discussing in the event of cold weather, as we've had, part of the discussion was from last November when we had a gentleman die due to exposure, that basically what the group has been talking about, what our focus could be, is how we can get people transported there, would be the idea. We've already got the services there available, so how would we be able to get people transported there? Really appreciated Mr. Butterfield, who attended and discussed a little bit. WRTA discussed a little bit about some of the options. But really, I guess, where this has come from has been citizens reaching out to me and saying, I don't want people to freeze to death in Riverton. And so we've been like, okay, well, what can we do about it? So I really appreciate, and Councilwoman Borders were there at our last meeting, which was good. So I've really appreciated the work of the community to try to think of ideas. It's gone beyond saying, oh, we need to have a government program, and I think it's been more focused on what can citizens be doing, and I really appreciated that discussion in terms of not just having government rush in and save us, but what can citizens do to improve our community, and I think it was good discussion, and we'll see where that goes in the future. Last thing I would bring up is talking a little bit about our budget meeting. We had a budget meeting last week. We did not have a lot of attendance at our budget meeting last week, as per usual. We start talking about $40 million and people kind of turn off, and that's okay. I guess I would just say that we have different ways we've done things traditionally at meetings in terms of saying we're going to open a public meeting, close a public meeting. But that's not the only way to do things. There's a difference between tradition and what's required under the law. And I would note that through discussions with others, including the audit department for the state, our own legal counsel, we feel confident that we did things right at that meeting. And I don't think that we always want to do things better. We always want to make sure we're doing things right. But we did have that open enough to the public and open for comment from anybody who would have been in attendance either before or after the meeting. And so I guess I would just note that we're doing the best we can. We're going to keep doing the best we can. Public are always welcome to our meetings, and I hope that it's clear, even if we don't say we're going to have a public meeting, even tonight, we've had times where citizens have chimed in at different times, and for the most part, we welcome it. So I just want
Well, there
to...
was chiming in on the public, from the public, on that budget meeting, there was comments made.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess I would just say we do the best we can, but if citizens want to reach out, they want to give us feedback, they're always welcome to, either at the meeting, before or after the meeting, whatever it is. You're encouraged to be there, and we'll continue on based on, I think, very good counsel, and appreciate people looking at that and thinking about that, and we'll just keep on keeping on.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I apologize. I meant to mention one other thing. Could I have?
Yeah, go ahead. It's a good time.
I asked Mr. Hurtado to provide a report to the council, and he even brought show and tell items, and so I think it'd be rude of me to not recognize him. Is it okay if he provides a brief report?
Absolutely.
That sounds good. I think that he's been over here hoping you'll forget. Come on up, Chief Hurtado.
Brief show and tell. As many of you are aware, we have a challenge of trying to get enough police officers to fill vacant positions throughout our nation. People get out of police work for different reasons, and as your chief, make sure that they have the equipment and supplies they need to do their job. And one of the things that I became aware of when I started here is some of the officers had different levels of protection in the vault in case that there was gunfire. And some of the officers have gone out and gotten their own protective equipment. And I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts real quick on the subject. Been in this field for quite some time, and for show and tell, I'm going to just start here. I'm going to pass this around.
It doesn't look easy to pass around.
This is what we call rifle plate. This is worn over the officer's soft body armor. This is where an officer would, they wear about 25, 30 pounds worth of gear with the radio, ammunition, handcuffs, vests, everything they need to do just to go do their job. And in the past, a lot of agencies have gone to well, if you're going to get in a shooting, go to your trunk of your car, grab your vest, your helmet, put it on, and then go in. Well, that's fine if you have time to expect something.
So this isn't a hot plate?
So the officers had the opportunity, if they wanted to have their own vests, then they can do so. So what's being passed around is what some of the officers have worn up till today. And if you have worked 8, 10, 12-hour shifts with the additional 25, 30 pounds, and then you add this plate on your person to work for that shift, sometimes it gets a little heavy, especially on your 12th hour, 13th hour, depending on how long. So last month there was an officer nearby that was hit with gunfire, and that sparked a discussion of what we have here. And I immediately turned to Mr. Butterfield and finance to see what we can do, because if the officer didn't have to, he probably wouldn't, or she wouldn't carry this throughout their whole shift. Technology has advanced over the years, and with us reviewing carefully what we had available with basically the last pennies in this year's budget, we made a decision to get something that basically would help save a life should it happen, and we're hoping not. But now, as of today, this arrived, and this is the new plate that will be issued to the officers, and you've seen and felt what they've had. So this will help emphasize, you really don't feel this one as much as the one I passed earlier, which has been around forever. And it offers the same protection as the 8-pound plate that you just felt a minute ago. So anyway, I just want to thank staff, Mr. Butterfield and everybody to help, and again, to help protect our officers and let them be able to do their jobs. So
You're kind of getting yourself ready to.
Yeah, it's like, careful, it's heavy.
Your Honor, Chief, is this what goes in their vest?
yes.
Okay.
So it'd go on their vest, outside, between all their gear. This would go in, and then their soft body armor behind it.
So what's the weight difference between those two?
I
mean, it has to be.
I think it's on I want to say maybe on the sticker, but I think we're talking about 1 pound, maybe 1.2. And I want to say that was like 6 or 8 pounds.
That's significant.
I think I saw that plate in a spaghetti western.
They've been around, and I work for departments where we have had this, and some of the officers, they'll shed what weight they can, and we just want to make sure that, because of our unique situation out here, that they have something they can wear all the time, and we don't have to worry about things. So.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Would you mind giving us an update just on our hiring, or where we're at with some of the hiring? I don't know if you guys have noticed Facebook comments and stuff, and just
Sure.
so that people listening or whatever can see that we're getting on that kind of.
We've been advertising. I don't think we've even taken down the advertising in a while. We face tough competition. I believe by next month we'll be down about 7 or 8 positions. Some are getting out of the business, going out, not transferring to another department, not wanting to be a police officer anymore. Some are. Some are going out of state, but we have one candidate that's in backgrounds right now. We had 4 that were going to show up tomorrow for their physical agility testing. One had a death in the family, and I think one changed their mind. So I think we're doing 2 tests. 2 people are going to come in to do their test tomorrow. And I don't think there's anybody else in the queue. So if you know anybody.
So we'll be down the 5 that we're down now, and then additional 2 or 3 is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and,
So our officers are working a lot of hours.
right, Mr. Butterfield and I will have a discussion about staffing and hours and what we need to do to at least provide basic protection during the next few months.
And so we're getting the body armor for everybody?
Yeah, everybody some had already bought actually their own of the lightweight, and their life, I think it's a 5-year money-back guarantee if it doesn't work, warranty. Right, but they're
guinea pig there. Oh, bonus.
yeah, they're about $500 for the plate, and
Okay.
if they don't work as advertised, I guess we'll get, yeah.
There'll probably be some other ramifications other than just getting your money back if that happens, so, yeah. So we found that in our budget and are able to do that, okay.
Your Honor, I just want to commend Mr. Hurtado for acting quickly, for coming in, seeing a need, and engaging with our officers. I know he's committed to improving our community. He's committed to improving our department, and this, I think, is just one simple example of that, where he acted quickly. And I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I wanted to mention too, I was driving up Main Street this morning and I saw our new chief and an officer walking the street, and I just want to thank you. I think that's great.
Getting down to basics while we can.
Yeah.
Being seen.
Appreciate it.
And
Thank
I
you,
guess
Chief.
along that line, as I think most of you know, there is a Riverton Police Foundation, which we started a long time ago, and it sort of lost some interest and people moved away, and so, I mean, it was one of those that sort of become stagnant. But I have had some interest lately, and so we're looking to sort of revitalize the Police Foundation, which, again, if anybody's interested in serving on that board, please let me know, and I think
People
we
that are
could.
constantly calling, trying to beg for money.
No. No, that's the.
They always tell you
That's
they're-
the Highway Patrol Association
Well,
and
they're always
whatever.
telling you if they're the police
But basically,
foundation.
we've
They're
done some
usually scam.
fundraisers in the past and helped support the police department, and we got the money to do some body cameras and, or not body cameras, but is that what they call them?
Yeah.
Yeah, body cams. So, again, I think all of that stuff to help protect the officers in a different way. So, if anybody's interested, let me know, so.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Show and tell.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention a couple of things before we go into our executive session. Since you brought up Circles USA, there's also a place on the Fremont 25 page for people that are seeking services. There's a form, there's a red box in our news banner that says Get Help. And it's just a simple form that you can submit, and then they'll connect you to the services that you need, from clothing, household goods, employment, food assistance, housing and shelter, income support, all of those options. So that's also a really nice tool. You're not having to go in anywhere if you want to just submit that, and then they can contact you. Also, I wanted to mention that the Little League fireworks are this Thursday. For those of you who want to attend, they'll be there at dark down at the Little League fields. And for those of you that are sensitive to the sound, just maybe make a note of that they'll be Friday or Thursday night at dark. Maybe, take your dogs to the woods or something that night if they are sensitive to it as well. And I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that.
Thank you for that reminder. I'm putting it in my phone right now, so I remember. All right. All right. Well, I'd entertain a motion to convene into executive session for the purpose of personnel in accordance with Wyoming Statute 164405A2 and/or 164405A10, as well as litigation in accordance with Wyoming Statute 164405A3.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey with the motion, Councilman Pronto with the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We stand convened into executive session at 8:59 PM. Chair invites Mr. Butterfield and Ms. Watson to the session.
We're going to stay late.
Not gonna lie, I sometimes.
Just for the heck of it. See if I'm not paying attention.
Do what?
Sometimes I want to vote nay on that one.
It's really hard to find you.
I had my car cranked up before I got here.
Yes.
When I started, I hope it does that again.
All right, the chair would entertain a motion to reconvene into regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Larson with the motion, second by Councilman Bailey. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Regular session of the city council is now reconvened at 9:29. Chair would entertain any motions.
Your Honor, I move that we extend the contract as presented to Mia Harris as the Administrative Services Director to fulfill the roles of ex officio city clerk and the ex officio city treasurer under the terms as presented and set forth in this contract.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Bailey, second by Councilwoman
Toronto.
Bailey. It's 9:30. I was just saying, you're the motions man. Clearly, I know who you are. Councilman Pronto has the motion. Councilwoman Salisbury has the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the regular council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. This meeting stands adjourned at 9:30 p.m.
Thank you.
We'll miss you. Want to leave?
Welcome to the hot seat.
I didn't.
Feel like a lot of work. A lot of work.